Hello everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here, Yeehaw, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Gardevoir buff that was recently put into Pokemon Unite. Gardevoir's ability Psychic got a buff. I can actually pull up the exact numbers of this buff right here so we have a good idea of how this changed, and I'm going to go through some gameplay while I do it. In fact, I'm sure there'll be some gameplay up now while I'm talking about this. Gardevoir's Psychic cooldown went from 7 seconds to 6 seconds base-wise. Obviously, Gardevoir also has cooldown that's built into its kit as it levels up, so it continues to get lower and lower. Its damage ratio, so the amount that your Pokemon special attack impacts the move, has gone up from 60% to 72%. Its per level damage from 12 to 15, base 310 to 390. In general, we can just say that Psychic has gotten better in every single metric that you can figure it out with, damage-wise. The only thing that has not changed with Psychic are any of its effects. So I don't believe in any way the special defense that is reduced or the slow that is on the move has changed. I could be wrong about that, but they have not said that anything has changed in that respect. I've actually always really liked Psychic as a move. I love that it has this area effect that stays there. It continues to slow enemies in that area, and then of course reducing the special defense. If I'm being honest, I can't exactly see how that affects certain encounters. I'm sure it does because it says it's lowering special defense, but I don't know for how long or if that is team-wide, etc. Another thing I really like about Psychic is at level 14, which is pretty late into the game, but at level 14, it reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds, and you already have a massive cooldown reduction at that point. You have a 25% cooldown reduction at that point as Gardevoir in general. So you have a move that's on a 4.5 second cooldown that we're now lowering by 2 seconds. I don't know if it lowers it and then the cooldown happens, or if the cooldown happens then it lowers it, but regardless, it is a very, very low cooldown for this move, which is really, really nice. So I was playing a bunch of Gardevoir matches this morning, and a few things that kind of pop to mind are, first, I like Gardevoir. I really like playing Gardevoir, you know? I wish that Gardevoir didn't feel so reliant on the team sort of supporting you, because if your team is blocking for you and putting you in good positions to continue to rain down damage on the enemy team, I think Gardevoir is so amazing. The only issues with Gardevoir are it's really easy to get next to Gardevoir and start doing some serious damage, and Guard kind of be like, I'm gonna hit you with everything I got, but we're in trouble now. So in the matches I played, when I had some people who were really good at frontlining, you know, playing that defender role, Snorlaxes, heavy slamming people, blocking people, even people who are just up in the mix a lot, like a Venusaur or Lucario or something like that. When I was on a team that played that well, ooh, Mr. Mime. I was laning with a Mr. Mime, and that was really, really nice. So when you're in that situation with Gardevoir, it feels really, really great. And then, you know, as I said before, I play a lot of solo, and when you're soloing with Gardevoir, you run into a lot of issues. Your first biggest issue is, of course, laning. The laning phase with Gardevoir is very tough. You can punish Gardevoir easily. There are a few Pokemon that if I see opposite me in lane, I'm so happy. So if I'm playing, you know, most Pokemon, but let's say I'm playing a really mean laner like Lucario or something like that, oh, when I see I'm against a Gardevoir or a Garchomp or something like that, I'm in heaven, because they are really, really squishy, difficult to do anything about what Lucario is doing. Not only is a Pokemon like Lucario probably the most absurd example of someone in lane that is just being an absolute bully and a monster, but when you have a Pokemon like that and they're going up against someone who's so weak for so long, especially in the laning phase because they don't get as much experience, you have a lot of difficulties with that Pokemon. So I prefer to play Gardevoir in the jungle if at all possible. Most people don't want to give you jungle. So of all the games I played today, I was trying to call jungle multiple times. I think I got given jungle once, and one time nobody said they were taking it from me, and they just took it. They just said, yeah, but even still, Jake, we're not going to let you have jungle. So I was playing a lot of guard. I was trying Psychic. I was trying Psychic Psyshock, Psychic what's the other? Future Sight. I was playing, just for comparison, Moonblast, Psyshock. And walking away from it, I have a few thoughts. So my big thoughts with the new buff are Psychic feels better now. You can feel that it's doing more damage. I love having that area of effect on the ground. But, and even while I was playing, I actually felt great using it. I think it's a totally viable choice. However, with the Moonblast build, I was doing better. And I think the biggest reason for that was the stun. We've known this the whole time. The biggest thing about Moonblast is not the damage it does, it's the stun. Not only that, it actually takes your character and goes like, boop, and it pushes you back a little bit. So it kind of sets up a little counterplay for guard. I really liked the stun aspect of it because it doesn't only affect what I'm doing, it affects the team a lot. Now, Psychic has a similar ability where you hit someone and there's a field there that slows people in it. It was good for team fights, but it's hard to think anything is better than something that stuns. And there are a few reasons for that. The biggest one is just when they're slowed or in this area of effect of Psychic, that's great. And possibly if the special attack damage does affect other allies as well, so other allies can take advantage. You know, they get hit by your Psychic and then a Venusaur solar beams them into oblivion. You know, that could be really, really good. But someone who's slowed can still act. Someone who's stunned takes a moment and cannot act. The difference is pretty monumental. So I was just noticing in the Moonblast games, I felt more effective, and I was finding that my damage numbers were higher in my Moonblast games. So I felt that the Psychic change was pretty good. I actually liked playing it. I've always liked playing Psychic, but I just have such a hard time not stunning people because it's so valuable. You know, it's something that I talk about all the time with Snorlax's Heavy Slam and Block. You're not going to do as much damage, of course, as a Flail Yawn or something like that build, but the amount of control that you have over the battle is pretty huge. And when you're Gardevoir, especially, and someone's coming in, if you can Moonblast, not only will it push you back, so you get some range there, you're also stunning them, you're also setting up the next attack, you're creating time, you're giving your team time to make a decision about what they're going to do in this moment. It just, unfortunately, it feels like I think Moonblast is still a better choice, and it's because it's so hard to beat that stun. That being said, I think there are definitely situations where you can now take Psychic and feel very, very good about it. Every game I played with Guard, I was just, it was kind of, you have a smile on your face as you're playing it because it's such a fun Pokemon to play. Outside of the issues that I brought up before, where it's like really kind of tough if your team doesn't support you. If you're Gardevoir and you're all alone, you're in trouble. Not that you can't catch people. You can catch people. You can hit them with a couple moves and KO some squishier Pokemon. And especially just once you get your long-range artillery moves and you're just dropping on enemies in team fights and situations where they're trying to take wild Pokemon, you feel really great as Guard. I think this buff is nice so that Gardevoir has a little more, it's a little more well-rounded in what you can pick for the Pokemon. But in general, I don't think that the buff has changed Gardevoir in my mind viability-wise. I still think it's good, and I could see a team using it well in a coordinated fashion. In solo, you're just going to run into all the solo queue problems you run into with Gardevoir. I don't think anything solo queue-wise has necessarily changed with Guard. So a really fun Pokemon to play. I actually felt really useful while I was playing it. As I've said with really anyone inside this game, unless you're in the highest levels of competition, you can be great with anyone. There's no reason not to play Gardevoir, except that because you have such a tough climb in the beginning, you're going to run into issues throughout your matches if you're getting stomped in your lane or your team's not supporting you. Being behind with Gardevoir is one of the hardest Pokemon to be behind with. It's just really, really tough. But once you get there, I think it's super, super solid. Let me know what you think of this buff in the comments. Have you tried Psychic? Do you like it more than Moonblast? I gotta say, I like it a lot, but but I still think that Moonblast stun, and also because it pushes you back a little bit, it just gives you some outplay potential. I still think Moonblast felt a little better to me. So those are my thoughts on the Gardevoir buff. Definitely good, again, for variety in playing this Pokemon. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. I love you very much, and I will see you all next time. Oh.